Assalamualaikum and hi, selamat pagi everyone. I am SHALIZA JAMAL. How many participants do we have now so far? 17. That's including me. Yep. Is it okay if I start now?
Yes, Madam SHALIZA, you may proceed.
Thank you. Okay, so we are here today for this workshop of designing engaging online course. Welcome, everyone. I am SHALIZA. My name is SHALIZA. I am a learning designer. Currently, I am on contract basis working with Open Learning. I have been with Open Learning before this since 2015. So I've been designing online learning since 2015. Before that, I was a teacher for 9 years. I am now also a freelance learning designer. So I am here today to just share my experience with you on how to design online courses. Okay. Before we begin, for those who have just joined, maybe you can take some time to just share. Oh, we have a lot of beautiful sharings here. This is a Padlet page. This is an activity I just created for our kind of ice breaking. I'm not sure if you know each other here, but it's good to just start diving into the topic by sharing what image the best represents your thoughts or feelings about online teaching and learning. And then you can just go around and like everyone's pictures and then try to guess and start interacting there. Okay. You can do that. But we're just going to start the workshop as well now. In this workshop, you will be creating a course plan for one module of your course, designing one learning page for your course, and then we will be discussing on how to motivate and facilitate your students. I really hope we have time for that because it's quite a lot of things to do. The topics that we will go through in this workshop will be changing to online teaching and learning. First, we'll just discuss the challenges that you face in online teaching and learning. And then we'll go through to actually create a content or a course page on online. This is the process that we always that we go through as learning designers based on my experience on Open Learning. So we'll first go through the learning outcomes. So here you'll create one clear and measurable learning outcome for your course. And then the second one is to create your course outline. So once you have the course outcome, you'll go into your course outline and create an outline for at least one module of your course. And then we'll go into designing engaging activities, create one set of learning activities for one learning outcome. So from this learning outcome, we'll create one set of activity, or maybe even one, it's fine. And then we'll see on how to develop effective content. Here we'll try to create one page of content for your online course. So it doesn't have to be on the platform or anything. It can just be on a Word document. It's fine. It's just we're just going to go through on how we can structure the page and how you can align that to the course outcome and what kind of activities you can use. And then let's try to discuss and gather tips to create a motivating, safe, and welcoming environment for your students. And then lastly, I hope we can really have time for this because it's important. I would really like for you to showcase what you have designed, like that one page that you have designed. Is everyone good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so it is good for you guys to just share, unmute your, whenever you feel like you need to ask question or talk or just discuss anything, just unmute and talk to me because I don't want to be talking alone. And then we also have the chat. You can just post anything there. We'll be using a Padlet for this one. So you can go to padlet.com. Let me share this link. Padlet.com. Where is the chat? Give me a second. I'm just going to share you the link to Padlet. Yep. So you can create your account. I would like people to have their picture and names because a picture says 1,000 words. So it's okay if you don't have time for that. It's fine. And then so mostly we'll be using that. So all the activities that we'll be doing here will be submitted on Padlet. And the next one is you may want to have your course outline, your current. I think all of you are teaching, right? So you can just have your course outline open, and then your course, some of your course content, so that you can use to participate in the activities later. Okay, are you ready? Is there any questions that you'd like to ask me before we start?
I have a question. Hi, my name is Nadia. Good morning.
Morning.
Will we? Is there any like notes or something that we will get afterwards? Because if no, then I will need to like jot down like crazy. During, I will assume there will be a lot of inputs here.
I can share you the presentation. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine. I guess most of the like instructions will be in the presentations, like right?
Yes, I also have this resources page that I create, 09 your resources. If you go to my Padlet, you just go to padlet.com/SHALIZA JAMAL. You can see all these Padlet pages, and you can access these Padlet pages after the workshop. And the resources will be I'll be sharing like the courses that you can see, and the articles, and whatever that you need, we can just paste into this page.
Um, Sorry, I'm not very familiar with Padlet. How do we maneuver in this? I can see the page, with people posting in the page, but how do we go into the resources, the 0 to 1 1?
Oh, okay. So the resources, I can share. I think the resources is one of the link in this presentation. I can share with you that, or you can also go to padlet.com. Just go to my Padlet, and then you I'll give you the I'll give you the link.
Miss Madam Nadia.
Yes.
So like what apa ni Madam Shaliza shows right here. So you just need to go to Shaliza Jama without 01. So you can
Oh.
have access to
Yeah.
her own file.
Ah, okay, got it,
Mm-mm.
got it.
It's all public. So you can I've shared the link. I think Awanis also shared the link. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first one is changing to online learning. In this session, we'll discuss the challenges that you and your students may face in transitioning to online learning. So before that, can we share, like, if you have any experience? I think you already have teaching on or learning online, and you can share the experience and the challenges that you face. So can you please open this Padlet page and share your experience right now, so we can discuss. Okay, so let's take about 2 to 3 minutes to do that. So no response from the students. Passive class. Massive marking online. Wow. No engagement. That's true. It's not very easy to get engagement. It does, right? It does. It drain your energy. That's very true. I can feel that as well. Yeah, it's always one-way communication. That's true. Mm-hmm. Wow, you are very active. So Azrin is saying no response from the students. Where is it? No, it disappeared. Okay, you explained the lesson. I always ask for feedback, but no questions. Okay, it's like talking to the wall. Yeah, it's very quiet, right? Sometimes don't know how to create engagement and activity for hardcore engineering subject. Oh, engineering subject. It is factual fact. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That is a lot of sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, so we know that face-to-face teaching is like we are all used to face-to-face teaching. Even in workshops, we are very used to doing face-to-face workshop. And you can see your student faces, you can see what they are doing, you can talk to them, you can see their expression, you would know whether they understand or not, those kind of things, right? And then suddenly we have to transition into online learning. And then it'll be like going to a different planet. Do you feel like this? Like you can't see them, you don't know what they're doing, you don't know if they understand you, and they're not asking you questions, right?
You don't
Okay.
even know if they're there.
Yes, I cannot imagine teaching young students. Okay, yes, that's true. And so when we transition into online learning, we have a different role. Like our roles in online teaching online is different than your roles teaching face to face. As an online educator, you have the pedagogical role, you have the facilitator role, you have the managerial role and technical role. So in this workshop, I hope we're just going to focus a lot on this, but let's hope that we have time to just go through a little bit on this as well, because when we talk about engagement, when we talk about being quiet, it's a lot of that is more on facilitation, but also the way we design our courses and activities online as well. Okay, so I like to think of online teaching like sailing a boat, or if you are like, it's not just online, if you're designing learning, it's like you're designing a journey to somewhere, right? So for your pedagogical role, you would want to know who your learners are. So I'm sure you as lecturers would know who your students are. If as for us, we would have to go and find out who our learners are. And then once you know who they are, you would know what is the basic knowledge that they have currently, and then where you're taking them to, and then you can identify the learning gaps. So this is the gap that you have to fill in between where they are now and to where you want to take them, right? And then you will know what they will learn. So these things that you have identified in between where they are now and where they are going is the things that you have to um, use to plan and structure your online course. So, and then once you know how to do that, you will know, then you will start thinking how they will learn. So what you're doing in an online as an online educator is not just teaching them, but you are actually creating the learning experience that you want them to have online. So it's very different from face-to-face teaching. Online, you're not a teacher, but you are more into we call it a facilitator. So when you are teaching, you're not actually teaching, you are facilitating them. So as facilitator, you'll have to guide your learners. You'll have to think of ways to motivate them to start to start learning online or start participating in your activities. you need to also build their confidence, because we know, especially Malaysian students, they are very shy, and they are very shy to share, or this maybe they don't feel safe to in sharing what they think, or those kind of things. So to do that, you have to make sure that they feel safe. How you can do that in an online environment? Uh, let's try to get to that later. And then you also have to provide constructive feedback. So it's not just telling them what to do, but it's more to guiding them on how to do it. Okay. So this is a video. So let me just try to turn this on. I'm just going to open it on YouTube. Can you?
There's no audio. Is that intentional?
What's that again?
There's no audio. Is that intentional? Dia tak ada bunyi.
No, you can't hear the audio, is it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me try again. Can you hear now?
No.
Okay. Okay, it's okay. If you can't hear the audio, let me just share the link and you can just watch it. Does anyone know how I can make the audio appear? Because I was trying on my own and I couldn't find a way to get the
Okay,
audio on.
SHALIZA, would you like to try stop sharing, and then you can go to advanced tab, and there will be an option for you to share audio. You may try that if it's work.
Music or computer sound only. Is that it?
I don't know whether YouTube, because we can see the movie but not the sound. So maybe if you use that button, you may get both.
What I can see here is music or sound only, but then the sharing disappeared. It's okay. I think let's just you can just take a look or watch the video. It's on the chat now. Yeah, but I took off the headset just now. It's okay. It's only 1 minute video. Maybe you can just watch that on your own. Is that okay? Can you tell me if it's okay? Okay. All right. Let me change that.
Switching to teaching and learning online is a rather challenging process, more so for students. To assist you to manage and overcome students' online learning challenges, the following are 4 quick tips. Feeling lonely. You need to incorporate interactivity, collaboration, and engagement in your lessons to overcome the feeling of loneliness in an online environment. Get the students to chat and discuss, do group work, and motivate each other so they'll be more engaged in the learning process, hence overcoming the lonely experience.
Learning expectations.
students, communicate the rules and learning expectations at the beginning of the subject to enhance clarity. In this manner, students will be clear on what they will learn as well as what they will achieve at the end of the subject. Self-motivation. Some students may feel they are lacking skills such as technical, time management, and even communication skills, which might make them feel less self-motivated to complete their lessons. This is where you can help by giving continuous facilitation and motivation as well as create interesting online lessons. Adaptability. Changing to online learning itself may take students a bit of time to adapt. The change from a face-to-face learning experience to an online learning experience changes the learning process. As a teacher, you can in the beginning be online more than is required so that you slowly handhold the students to be more comfortable with the online environment.
Okay. So, have you finished watching? So,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
so that is the 4 quick tricks to manage online challenges for students. So it's not just us who are facing challenges, it's also students. So the 4 quick tips that you can hear in the video just now is the activities that you create online can also help your students. One. The second one is the clarity and transparency will help your student to know where they are going and what to achieve. So that will be like telling them what they will be doing in the course, telling them what they will achieve at the end of the course. And then the third one that's important is a good facilitation, motivation, and some hand holding can help them become more confident and feel safe to participate. So students are actually in a new environment now. We also have to bear in mind that students are in a new learning environment, which can make them feel overwhelmed, confused, stressed. So, but we may not be able to give solutions to all the solutions to them, but maybe we can have empathy and try to offer help and support to help them in their learning. So in the long run, we hope that all this will actually help our students to become independent, autonomous, and lifelong learners. So if you look at how things are going now, it looks like what we're going in the future is more into that. Like students have to actually learn to be independent. They need to learn to be to have autonomy and learn to actually learn by themselves. Because if they have that skill, they can actually learn anywhere, everywhere. So so that is a part of the things that they may have to start developing now, and we as educators are slowly actually taking them towards that. Okay, so do you have any questions before we move to the next section? No? Going
No.
1, going 2,
No.
going 3. Okay. Oh, there's one in chat. Nope, not yet. Okay. All right. Okay, not yet. Good. All right. So the next one is your learning outcome. So remember in the video, we were talking about clarity and transparency. So in this session, you will learn how about the importance of having clear and measurable learning outcomes in an online course. So in this session, you will create one clear and measurable learning outcomes. Okay, so what is clear and measurable learning outcome? Why is it important in an online course? So it's online course is unlike the face-to-face course, as I keep saying from the beginning. We want students to, since students are there on their own, you want them to see where they are going, right? So before we go into this, I like to share an experience of when I started to learn how to drive. So when first I've got my license, and then I wanted to drive somewhere, or I wanted to practice to drive. So if I take my car and then suddenly just go driving without any destination in mind, I'll be very stressed because I don't know where to go. I do not plan. I just just go ahead and masuk kiri, masuk kanan, and then by the time I got back, I feel very stressful. So I didn't actually achieve anything. But then if I have a place to go, like I need to go to the bank, And then I will have, oh, I know, to go to the bank I have to go this way, and then I have to turn like, oh, there's this and then there's this junction that is very scary for me, and then I'll have to really practice or prepare to go to, to sometimes nak masuk kanan tu, oh, takutlah ada kereta. So but then by the time I got to the bank and got home, I feel like, oh, I've achieved something. I've actually done something at the bank, and then I've driven this way, and I've actually planned everything. So it's the same thing as whatever we do. Actually, everything that we do in our life needs to have a goal. And it's even more important in learning and when you're designing online courses. So a clear and measurable learning outcome. If we go back to the sailing boat just now, it's like taking your students on a journey. So you have the starting point, and then the destination where you're taking them, and then the journey itself is the learning experience. So for the learners, they can see where they are going. So if they are really going on sailing to an island, they would know, oh, what clothes to pack, um, what things to bring, and maybe bring sunblock, stuff like that. And then when they are in the journey itself, going through the learning experience, knowing where they are going, they would know, oh, uh, they would know what to do with the content. If it's in on an online, if it's a learning experience, so they will know what to do with the content. They will know what to achieve in each activities, and then they would also know. They can also set their own goals. So you have your own goal, the destination that you want them to achieve, but they can also set their own goals. As for you, you can know what content you need to put in your course. You will know what activities to design, and you would know how to actually assess them when your students have achieved the learning outcomes. So am I going too fast? Okay. So what is actually a clear and measurable learning outcome? Thank you. Um, so so we all, I think all of us know, as educators and lecturers and teachers, we know, like, by the end of this course, students will be able to, so it needs to follow with a verb related to the desired action or performance. And then it needs to have the topic that you want your students to learn. The last one is the context of learning. So that is like a basic way of how you write your learning outcome. So let's divide this into a few steps. Step one is by the end of this course, students will be able to. Step two, you add the verb related to the desired action or performance. So we would usually use Bloom's taxonomy for this one. And then step three is the topic to be learned. Step four is the context of learning. So how do we write this? Example, by the end of this course, students will be able to assess the verb, at least one gene function, the topic that uh, that can be impacted by our environment and lifestyle. That's the context. So looking at this, it's clear students would know, oh, they need to at least find one gene function, and that can be impacted by by our environment and lifestyle. All right. The second one, example, discuss the importance of halal assurance management system implementation at their premises. If you look at this example that I'm showing you, can you tell me if you think that it is clear enough for you to understand? You can just tell me in the chat, uh, tool. And then the next one, number 3, by the end of this course, you will be able to write your resume effectively using the right keywords. So it's easy for students to understand. It's not using any bombastic words, because we are designing this learning outcome for students, not for us. So students see, oh, I can write my resume effectively using the right keywords. So these are actual example. These examples are taken from the courses that we have designed. The last one is decide one appropriate insurance takaful policy. Oops, sorry. Based on coverage needs, and affordability. So these are just four of the examples that I can show you. The verbs used, must they be measurable? Yes, that's how we design it, because if it's not measurable, you wouldn't know how to evaluate if your students have achieved it, right? One Jumani. Okay, all right. Okay, so how do you know that you have written a good learning outcomes, or if it's measurable and clear? So this is the way we would do the criteria that we would use to evaluate our learning outcomes. So for example, assess at least one gene function that can be impacted by our environment and lifestyle. Is the outcome measurable? So the word assess, by using this word, we can actually measure, because you know that assessing is evaluating. So you can create like a band or something to measure whether the students have actually assessed this. And then, is the outcome focused on student action? It has to be what the students will be doing, not what we will be doing. I think that's already in a lot of usually in our outcomes. Is it clear and easy to understand? So it's not using any jargons, it's not using any hard words that students can't understand, and it should be very clear. So is the outcome describing the level of performance? So the level of performance is this one. Like you can actually be as specific as wanting the students to share three things, or to discuss about three topics or something like that. So that is the level of performance. But sometimes I feel that that is a bit too, it can be used for our courses. If it's like short courses, I think it's not a problem. But if it's a big course like academic courses, usually lectures, they don't want to use that, because that'll be like too specific and too hard to actually measure. But what you can do is, what I always do is that if I have a big course to design, I have like a very quite generic outcome, big outcome. But under that big outcome, I will still list down the smaller outcomes that the students can achieve to actually achieve these big outcomes. Is that clear for you? Okay, I am not prepared to share how the verbs are measured, because the verb will be measured using some assessment, will be measured using assessment tools. One Junmani is asking me a question on the chat. So so it's like a one big huge topic, and I don't think we can do that today. But like the example that I gave you, if you're using assess, then it's getting the students to evaluate it. So in your assessment, then you'll have the criteria of how you can assess that students have actually, you can evaluate whether the students have actually assessed this thing. So you have like, you can use different tools like band, or however you want to use it. But at open learning, when we design assessment, we will have criteria, and that is one big workshop and cost to actually do that. Okay, and then usually we would want our assessment, sorry, our outcome to be limited to 4 to 6. If it's more than that, then it's too much for you to actually achieve it, or to get the students to achieve it in your course. Okay, any question? Okay, we have Nadia is saying we have a course outcome and lesson outcome. Usually the course outcome refers to the course itself, and lesson would be for the topic chapter. Yes, yes. So because you are teaching academic courses, it's big courses. So you have one generic course outcome, or maybe 2 to 4 course outcomes, and then you'll have like list down the topic outcomes. So to me, if I would see this as us when we are designing big courses. When we're designing big courses, we have maybe about 4 big outcomes, but under each of that big outcomes, we'll have smaller outcomes. These are the smaller outcomes that maybe you can use in our course today, in our workshop today, because it's smaller and it's easier for you to design and to use to practice, right? Because today you'll have to actually pick one of your outcomes and make that into clear and measurable using this criteria that we have seen here. Is the learning outcome only for one session of class? That actually depends on you. One learning outcome can actually address, one activity that you design, or one session of class, one topic, whatever you call it, can actually address 2 to 3 learning outcomes. If you are using uh, the the because at open learning we'll be using constructive learning design model. So if you're using that, you can actually have 3 outcomes, at least 3 outcomes for one activity. I hope that answered your question, Nora Shikin. Okay. So next we're going to let's go to this. Let's just get you to try and look at these outcomes and try to evaluate these outcomes. So if you open this Padlet page, I've shared the link on the chat. So so there are 3 outcomes here. If you can just rate, look at the outcome. If it's measurable, is focus on students' action, clear and easy, just give it a rate. I don't know. It's up to you. 3, 4, 5. If you don't think it's fitting to all of these criteria, then just give it a 0. Okay, so let's just take, I think that will like be about 2 to 3 minutes. It's 9:44 and 9:46 we'll get back. Is that okay for you? Let me know if you're not okay, if you have any questions. Thank you. I can see you participating. Thank you very much. Okay, so by now we have 4.5-star rate for LO1. We have 4-star rate for LO2, and we have 4 rates for LO3. So I can assume, now it's going to 3.5. So anyone wants to share with me if you have given like less rate for any of these outcome? Maybe you can just unmute and let me hear you speak for a while and tell me why do you think that the outcome is not why did you rate it that way? If I can have a volunteer to just unmute and talk to me. Okay, it's 9:46 now. Anyone wants to share? Maybe in the chat? No. Okay, so going once, going twice, no sharing. Okay, it's good. It's okay. So next one is your learning outcome. So this is the activity that you will be doing. So take a look at your own learning outcomes. I hope you have your learning outcomes open on a different tab, and then select one that you want to use in this workshop and try to improve them. Sorry, one means one, improve it. You can use this template. So I have prepared a template for you. This is the template. Let me share the template with you. I've shared the template on the chat. I hope you receive it. If you don't receive that, please tell me. I can share with you the link to this one. Okay, so in this learning outcome, I have like three steps for you to do. So first, you can just select one learning outcome from your existing one that you think is the simplest and you think you want to use for practice in this course. Bear in mind that this is going to be the one that you will be using to create your course page and the content and the activity later. So paste that here, and then try to see if it has the verb, the topic, and the context. If you need more verbs, you can scroll down, you can click here. You'll see all the action verbs in Bloom's taxonomy. If it's not enough for you here, you can just Google and find the verb that you want. And then number 3 is try to see and evaluate your learning outcomes by asking yourself these questions. Is your learning outcome measurable? Is your learning outcome focused on student action, describing the level of performance, clear and easy to understand? So I don't really focus on this much, because understanding that you might have a big learning outcome, so you cannot really specify that into one or two smaller things. Okay, so did you get the template? Okay, thank you. So can we take, how long do you think that you want to do this? We only have a range to 3 to 5 minutes actually, but if you think that you need to take longer, we can take up to 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, thank you Nadia, Awanis and Muhammad Hafiz for replying. Thank you. So I'm just going to share. I'm just going to say it's going to be about 6 minutes. Just download this document and try to select one of your learning outcome and try to see if it doesn't need improvement, then it's fine. But if it needs improvement, you can use this. And once you're done, oops, you can share your improved learning outcome in here. Okay. I can share that on the chat as well. One Jumani, it is actually on, I've actually shared it on the chat here, but I can share with you again. Let me share with you again. No worries, I'm sharing again. One Jumani, and if you open this this Padlet as well, you can actually download the template from the Padlet, because I've shared it here. So just click download here. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Just unmute and ask me so we can share, and um, I can try to answer your question. So how are you getting along with the learning outcome? Oh, thank you. We have one submission, Nadia. Explain how phase equilibrium impacts separation process. That's good. Okay, we already have one submission from Nadia.
Assalamualaikum Puan Shaliza.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sorry, I joined late. I mean, and now buying some groceries. Okay, anyway, all right. So I just want to ask you pertaining to the one that you said just now, if I heard it correctly. Okay, so you use, it is about learning outcome. So you said, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So learning outcome, they perhaps you may be having like 3 activities. Did I hear you correctly?
I think what you mean is to say if one learning outcome can be used in, one activity can address to different learning outcomes. Is that what you mean? Or no?
Can you please repeat that?
Are you asking me whether one activity can address to different learning outcomes, like a few learning outcomes? Is that what your question is?
The other way around, I suppose. One learning outcome, you can have different activities, and all these different activities are under the learning outcome. That is correct, right?
Yes, that is correct. You can actually have different activities in different modules, if you call it modules, or in different weeks from week 1 to week 10.
Okay.
You can still have those activities, like maybe even 10 activities addressing to one learning outcome.
All right. Okay. All right. So one learning, regardless, for one learning outcome, in your experience, yeah, how many activities will be appropriate, or it can't be measurable?
Actually, it really depends on how big your course is. If your course is big, like what we went through before this. If it's a big course, we would usually you would usually have like um, maybe for the whole course you have like about 3 to 4 learning outcomes, right? There'll be like a quite generic, and it's not really specific to anything yet, right? But
Okay.
under each of your learning outcome, as what your colleague have shared just now, you'll have smaller learning outcomes that you call topic outcomes. Am I right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do the same thing as well. If we are designing a big class, like a big course, like a master class or something, we'll have 4, 5 learning outcomes, and then under each of that learning outcomes, we'll have smaller ones, like smaller ones that can actually be very specific to what we want the students to achieve under for
Okay.
that specific learning outcome.
Right. So these activities, can it be, along the way, we designed the course and we did not specify the activities here in the learning outcome, for instance. Is that proper or is that not proper?
You did not define the activities for the learning outcomes. So you have a
Yeah,
learning
you
outcome.
just come along, I mean, when you look at the students, I think this is a good, this is a good activities. So, but I did not design that in the first place. Can it be okay? Or is it,
Um,
I am not, I don't know. Sometimes I do it. Okay.
uh, I think that's fine. Because you
Uh-uh.
don't actually have to list down which activities that you do for which learning outcomes,
Uh-uh.
but it is good for you to actually let your students know
Mm.
what are the things that um, they'll have to complete for that course. For example, I will
Okay.
have like on if you have your online course, you'll have the landing page, right? So
Yep.
usually in
Uh-uh.
the landing page, we'll be telling the students like, in this
Uh-uh.
course, what you will be doing is you'll be doing
Yeah.
this. So it's actually
Yes.
very clear for the students, and they can see
Yeah.
these
Uh-uh.
are the things that they will be doing,
Yeah.
and they can hopefully look forward for that lah.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Okay. Thank you, SHALIZA. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
welcome. Okay, so we have plenty of submissions here. Yay. Okay, I'm going to take a look at Nadia's one first. So I think the courses that you're teaching is more of engineering courses like that, right? Wait, I have some questions on the chat. Wanis is saying course learning outcome. Yep, that's true. Um,
Sorry,
sorry.
Puan Shaliza, may I
Yes,
interrupt?
yes.
I think Dr. Nadia is quite confusing when I read her template on the course learning outcome. She get confused with lesson outcome. She thought learning
Oh.
outcome is lesson outcome. What you explained just now is learning outcomes here is referring to course learning outcomes, which is by end of this course, not by end of this session or this class. They get confused here.
Okay,
Right. So you mean is LO here is course learning outcome. That is why when we write teaching plan, it's focusing on the course learning outcome. That is why you said that by end of this course. It's not on that particular lesson, on that particular chapter or topic.
But that's true. That's true. Because I'm designing the template is because we use a template for courses. So the courses that we create is not as massive as the courses that you will be creating. That's why I think just a little bit of a confusion on the terms there. But I think it is still fine for this is the Dr. Nadia, right? Okay, so it is fine for you to pick one lesson outcome to improve, because it still will be the same. Like, is in this activity we want to just see how a measurable clear learning outcome can actually help you in designing the lesson. So I think for this session, it's for this workshop, it is better for you to just take your smaller learning outcomes, like the lesson learning outcomes, so that we can actually, because later we'll be designing the page for this one. So if we take the big course learning outcome, I don't think we can, it's a bit hard for us to actually create pages for that. There will be a lot of pages. Am I right?
Actually, for this one, indeed, this is I would say this is the lesson outcome, because this will be like one of the class. So it during one of the class they will learn about this. So I'm thinking this is the now I'm getting confused, learning outcome and lesson outcome, but it's the smaller ones. I'm do referring to the smaller ones.
I think it's okay. I think this is okay for you to use for now, because the lesson is what you're going to be creating in this course. So it's fine for you to use lesson outcome. Let me see the rest of the submission. Apply Coulomb's law to calculate electrostatic forces. Okay, so for this one, I'm not sure if it's a lesson or a course outcome. Let me see a different one. Produce the solutions for a given problem using appropriate problem solving approaches. Okay. Produce the solution for a given problem using appropriate problem solving approaches. Okay. Okay. So what maybe what you need to know, because I really can't I really can't actually judge by looking at your learning outcomes. I don't know if that is going to be so the idea here is that I want to teach you how to create a course one lesson. So if you call it lesson, then it's one lesson. That's what we want to do in this workshop. So it is good for you, in that case, it is good for you to actually share the lesson outcome instead of the big course outcome. Is that clear? Dr. Awanis just now?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So we can use, from now on, we can use the word lesson outcomes.
Okay. However, for the lesson outcome, it will not reflect to the teaching plan, right? Because in our teaching plan is reflect to our course learning outcome.
So later, so now is for us to just practice on how to actually understand what clear and measurable learning outcome means, right?
Okay,
So
means
once you can you understand that and you know how to apply that, you can actually change that or look back into your course outcome, all these bigger outcomes, and then apply what you have learned today into all those things as well. So you can actually change all those things after this. So, but today let's use like smaller ones so that it's easier for us to, for you to actually create things today. Does that
okay.
make sense to you?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so I really hope that you can all of you can also go through the learning outcomes. I can see there's quite a discussion here. This is for one of the chapters. Okay, so you can look at this learning outcome of what you have your peers have actually shared, and see if it's actually measurable or not, or if you can understand. So for this one, for example, students should be able to classify. So classify is the word, is the verb, the reservoir fluids according to their gas oil ratio, fluids density and composition. So I can see that this is the context, and reservoir fluids is the topic. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't actually understand the the I don't know these courses. And then for this one, so describe the hydraulic principles. So that will be the verb. Hydraulic principles is the topic. Okay, for this one, it's a bit so one of the rules that we do when we're creating a learning outcome is we only use one verb. So there's actually two verbs here: describe and apply. The fundamental concept in analyzing flow in open channels. So maybe um, you need to choose whether you want the students to actually to only describe, or you want them to apply, or you want to break this into two different outcomes. I don't know whose submission this is from. Is it this one? Yep. So it's from Nadiatul.
Is it fair to assume that if the students could apply,
Hmm?
means that the student could also describe, because then it's like at a different level of the taxonomy bloom, right? Uh,
Mm.
you
Mm.
go you go for memorizing first, and then understanding, and then you then only go for applying. So if we were to say that students should be able to apply, we can then also assume that students should be able to describe or at least understand.
Yes, yes. So that's also actually very good to bring out here, because that is also the reason why we when we design our courses, we always only put the higher level learning outcomes like apply, assess, those things. You can have the lower level ones as well, but not to have it in one learning outcome. But that is true. If students needs to apply something, they need to actually already describe, be able to describe, be able to do all the lower levels. So if you can just put apply, you can just use apply and not use the describe, is fine. But in your activities, when you have the apply verb, then you have to make sure that in your content and activities will get the students from. So if the student is actually only have basic knowledge, then you have to actually build the content and scaffold them so that they can actually get to application.
Shaliza,
Mm-hmm.
may I share something?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen now.
Okay.
I cannot share my
Uh,
screen while other are participating.
I've stopped sharing.
Let me try again. Okay. Um, okay, I'm sharing my screen now. I think I would like to do a little bit of clarification. This is actually our document in UMP, and we have this is our official document, and this is actually our document that we it is compulsory for us to come up with. And you can see that for each course, for example, we have like 3 to 4 learning outcome that we state here for the course. So now I'm showing and I'm sharing how the course learning outcome being attached to a weekly lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when we talk about weekly lesson, we are talking about, okay, so this week you are covering, for example, topic number 1, and topic number 1 is actually is actually a topic belongs to course learning outcome number 1. So here you can see that, for example, like in my course, only 3 topics belong to course learning outcome number 1. So we in UMP, we do not go down to lesson learning outcome or topic learning outcome, TLO. We only stop at course learning outcome. So for each topic, we do not need to specify to the level of topic learning outcome. But when we are actually delivering that topic, we have to always refer back or bear in mind that that topic is actually meant to, at the end of the day, to measure the original learning outcome assigned for that topic. So how I normally deal with this is that I always make myself aware that when I go into my class for each week, I have to be super mindful that that particular week topic belongs to which learning outcome. Therefore, my emphasis and how I design my activities or my delivery will be basically very much influenced or directed by the course learning outcome for that particular topic that I have declared in this particular document. So that's what it is, just to give you an idea what we are having in UMP. So specifically, I can actually, if I want, I can actually write topic learning outcome, but I do find it quite difficult to write topic learning outcome. The only thing that I normally do when I want to deliver all these topics every week is to make sure that I personally aware that this topic is for which learning outcome. And I also normally tell my student that for this topic, you will be assessed based on this particular learning outcome. So basically, I remind my student that when we are looking at, for example, this is week 5, when I'm looking at soil compaction, the learning outcome for soil compaction, if I may share with you again, it's about how students use the principle of soil compaction to actually solve engineering problems. So I normally tell my student that that is why in this particular topic, we're going to do quite a lot of problem solving and also calculation, because that's what the learning outcome is all about. So that's all that I would like to share, and I stop sharing now.
Okay, so what you want to do is for everyone to just use their course learning outcome. Am I right?
Not necessarily, but what I mean is just now when we do this activity, some of us are actually putting up our course learning outcome, and some of us is actually putting up their lesson learning outcome, meaning that weekly topic learning outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like to give a context to what we are doing in UMP, that we do not actually need to declare our topic learning outcome in our document. We only have like course learning outcome being attached to a weekly topic. And I think for today's online workshop, we would like to see how do we actually design our weekly learning experiences based on the learning outcome that has been attached to that weekly topic, I think.
Mm-hmm. So that would be the course learning outcomes. Yes.
I mean, we can actually detail it out. For example, from course learning outcome, when we go into topic, how we can break it up into several topic learning outcome. We can go that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we are but currently in UMP we do not have any requirement to actually write our topic learning outcome.
Okay. Okay. So I will leave that for you to decide on which way to take. What Dr. Aisha shared is also something that can be done if you have the course learning outcome, and just structuring your course and activities by having your course learning outcome at the top of your mind. So just keep on looking at that, and then making sure that your students going that way. Okay, is there any other anyone who would like to share or ask questions? Okay, so let's continue. So the next one is course outline. So now that we have the course learning outcome, and we have wait so we have to make sure that we have improved that, and you need to have only one so it's that will be your target on how you're going to structure your course outline, right? So here we're going to create an outline for one module of your course, or you can call it module, you can call it lesson, I don't know what you call it. I think you are calling it like lesson. So one lesson maybe. So in all of our in all of my design course design, I will use constructive alignment. So that's why we at Open Learning are always emphasizing on learning outcomes, because constructive alignment basically is about using your course learning outcome as the base for everything that you do on your online courses. So basically, it's like when you're designing your learning outcomes, you'll be asking yourself, what do you want your students to learn? So then you start creating like your course learning outcomes. And then when you're designing the content activities, you'll be asking yourself what learning material and activities that you need to design that will likely lead your students to achieve this learning outcome. I think it goes back to what Dr. Aisha have shared just now. Always have that at the top of your mind when you're designing your content and learning activities. And then how you will when you're designing your assessment or thinking about how you're going to assess your students, you'll be thinking about how will you determine that your students have actually achieved this learning outcome. So everything goes back to the learning outcomes. Okay. And why do I use constructive alignment? So for example, I have intended for my students to research, discuss, create something or explore something in my learning outcomes, right? And in my content design and activities, I've also get them to research. I've created all these activities and use all the content that will help them to do research, that will help them to discuss, and that will help them to create. But then if in the assessment design, it's only focusing on the students, for the students to memorize and repeat. So my students knowing students, they would or usually would just take the shortcut. They will just go and memorize and repeat everything, and then they will pass the exam. So in the end, they wouldn't be actually researching, discussing, and creating. So that is where we sometimes lose the engagement or the interest of students in our courses, because they know they have a different or an easier way to go to actually pass the subject. So so I'm not sure um how this can actually be applied in your, because I don't know your the way your assessment goes, but that is something that you can bear in mind when you are designing your online courses. So how do I align the content? So when I'm designing the course outline, how do I do that? How do I align the content? So I will have this template. Usually will use this template, and we'll have the learning outcome at the top of the template. So my learning outcome just now describe the benefits of halal assurance management system implementation at your premises. And then once I have that, I will list down the topics that I think the students have to learn to be able to describe this. So I think they need to know what is halal assurance management system first. And then they also need to know the principles of halal assurance management system, because the principle will actually be applied in the system itself. And this principle is also connected with all the other things like halal and toyib and things like that. And then they will also need to know the stage of the implementation of the system, so that then only they would understand the whole thing, and they can describe how this can actually benefit their organization. And then I will draft out the activities. So I'll go from the beginning. I think for them to be able to describe this, they need to first um, dive into the topic first. So it's like an introduction activity. So they will first have to learn how, maybe share and discuss their thoughts on the issues of hazardous products that we purchase and consume today. And then the second one, they'll need to discuss if halal and toyib should be one of the requirements for consumers to purchase or a product or service. So because halal and toyib is related to the principles, and then related and also applied in the stage of this implementation of this system. And then at the end only, they will discuss how all this can actually benefit their organization. And then once I've done that, I will go back and then list down the things that I think the students like. It's like the flow that I need them to go or to follow through to get to this learning outcome. So it still is based on that learning outcome. And then I feel like they need to go through introduction to the topic, the scenario they should have like a scenario at a grocery store, so that they can discuss this and share their thoughts about that, and then dive into the topic and start thinking about this. And then only they start thinking about what is halal assurance management system. So that's how I would usually do it. And then,
Shaliza,
yep.
I think this is a great template because when you show the first part of the template, this is very seldom that we do when we start to design our lesson. You see, when we normally design our lesson, although when I mentioned earlier on that when I go into my class for that particular week, I know this is the topic that I'm going to deliver to my students. I did not prepare this protocol. And when I did not prepare this protocol, what I think majority of us will do is we know what are the topics that we're going to cover, and because we do not prepare this, we straight away, if you go into like the first title, what is halal assurance management, and normally it is the lecturer who explain what is halal management, rather than we start thinking of what is the activities that we can do or we can create in our class in order to deliver the first part of the topic. It is an excellent template. I think that I personally benefit, and how you show we can move on from the first part where we only put in the bullets on the activity, and then on the second part that you're showing now, that how we fill in with how we can come up with a storyboard of the lesson. So this is something new for me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I will be sharing this template with all of you. Okay, so going back, so that is how. So maybe the difference is that when we go to class, we don't actually have to do this because we know how to do it in the class. But when you are designing a course online, you need to go through this because you need to structure it from the beginning to the end, right? Okay, so the next one is I'm going to show you the course template. So this is the whole of the course template. You can ignore the first part if it's not relevant to you. But this is I've also added the sample that I did just now, so that you can take a look at it and try to use it when you are doing your course outline. So what we're going to do now is for you to download this template. I'll be sharing with you the chat, and then put your learning outcome that you have shared earlier here, right? And then list down first the topics here, and then go to the activities that you think that your students need to do to be able to achieve this learning outcome. Then only you go into flowing the smaller topics for each of the lesson. Even if you can do it for only one lesson, it's good enough for our workshop today, for your practice. Okay, so if you're ready, let me just share the file. So for this activity, I've shared the file in the chat tool. For this activity, we're not going to share it yet because we're trying to save time. But we will be. I really hope that we will be able to share this at the end of this workshop. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now. You better ask me now. And let's take. I'm not sure. I would say that 10 minutes is enough for this activity, of 5 to 10 minutes. Is that okay for you? If it's not, let me know. Yep. So to gain as much as you can from this workshop, it is good for you to try this using this template and try outlining your topics. Someone trying to say something? Okay, so if there is no questions, let's just take about 5 to 10 minutes. Yes, it is. Can you see it? If you can't, oops. Oh, I think I've shared it. Wait, let me try again. Sending it again. Yep.
Alright, dah dapat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, where are you at right now? Are you almost done? Because we need to continue. So even if you can get only to one module, one page, it's okay, it's good enough. Because that's what we need for you to continue to the end of this workshop. Do you think we can continue? Because it's already 10:40 now.
Please continue.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Let's just hope that we can have you continuing doing that. Just ask me questions if you have any. Okay. So the next one is designing engaging activities. In this session, you will look into the type of activities that can engage learners through examples and design one learning activity for your course. You'll be at the end of this lesson, you'll be having a one learning activity, right? And using the same learning outcome and the same course outline that you just created. Okay, so for this activity, you'll be looking at this example of activities in live courses. So before we do this, I would like to know if you are familiar with open learning platform, because these activities are on open learning platform. If if you have the accounts, I think for these activities, first I'm going to show you through my screen, and I will also be sharing these links, because some of these courses are not public, some are, so you can look at the courses later. So the first activity, the starving girl. Oops. Oh no. What did I do? Okay. The starving girl and the vulture. So this course is about journalism. In this activity, let me move this. Okay. In this activity, the topic here is what is good journalism. So I think if some of you may be familiar with this picture. So this activity is about this page is actually to help the students to actually understand about ethics of journalism. So what this educator did is, the lecturer did is, this is a course from UTS, University in Australia, I think. And it shared first it shared this video. This is a very captivating video. This video is actually a remake video. So they created the video to actually show what happened during this. You can take a look at the video because I'll be sharing the link for you later. Um, so it started with a video. So the video is not like a real life video. It's a movie that they made. And then it gave you the picture, the original picture that the journalist took. So Carter, the journalist, spent 20 minutes slowly approaching the scene so as not to disturb the vulture and wait so he could take the famous shot. So this is the famous shot that he took. And then when the shot first, the image first appeared in the New York Times, everyone was enraged. So there were a lot of people calling the newspaper wanting to know whether the child survived. So what actually happened was the journalist waited and just took pictures and then waited for the child to get up and walk again. And he was actually criticized for not doing anything to actually help the child after that. So not just he waited to see whether the vulture actually eat the child or not, or the child die. He didn't actually offer any help after that. But he did won the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography. But then not after long after that, he committed suicide. So there's also a link he provided here for you for the students to read more. And then he wants the students to vote. Did the journalist who took this picture do enough? So if you have voted here, you would know the result. I would say no. And then you can see that the result is like a lot of people are saying no. And then at the end of the page, he asks, what is good journalism? So what makes a good journalist? How would intervening support or undermine being a good journalist? How would not intervening support being a good journalist? So what is happening in this page is that what I'm trying to share with you is that um, the teacher of this course or the lecturer could just state the meaning of ethics or um, what do you call it? Good. What is a good journalist, right? He can just share that, and then that statement will be like a definition of a good journalist. But that wouldn't mean anything to a student who read the paragraph. But by sharing this, by having the student go through this uh, video clip and then story and then vote and then look at how other people are thinking, what other people are thinking, and then at last reflecting or finding or defining good journalism themselves. So they actually have actually derive their own concept of what good journalism, and that will mean a lot of things to them because it's from them. Sorry, it belongs to them. So that is what we mean by engaging and good activity. In this activity, they use the story. So you know how when you're using story, how our brain is actually made to connect those story with different things in your brain from your past experience. So the story will actually connect us to our past experience. So when we look at this story, we'll be like, oh, I remember this story, or this was when I saw this picture once. And then it also engage the learner in terms of getting their emotion. So when he engaged them emotionally, they are on that page, they are thinking about that, they are feeling it. When they are feeling it, then only they reflect. So that is one example that I'm showing you.
So Shaliza,
Yep.
so basically, if you look at the flow of the page that you shared just now from the open learning, and if we were to refer to your template, and if we scroll down your template, you also have content design template, right? So the first part where the journalist is actually sharing the video and then come up with a little bit of first when he shared the video, that is actually the intro, right? And that is
Yes.
where his approach is actually in the intro to grab the learner's attention
Attention.
and
Yep.
to engage and also bring the learner to the topic, right? So
Yes.
this is also what we set as a set induction when we design our lesson or when we design our learning. So the set induction or the intro, when we want to grab our learners' attention, like for this example that you just shown us, is actually making use of a video. But I'm sure lecturers have other creativities, like they can also use things like a quote. I hope that the quote will not be too provocative, because I think there has been cases when lecturer use a very provocative and also lah Malaysia sangat majmuk. I think we also need to be very careful about certain things that we use as a attention grabber. I mean, it can be all sorts of things. So at the end of the day, I think the educational principle here, when we want to go for the introduction, we want to grab learners' attention, is how can we associate the topic to the learners?
Yes.
So that, like what you mentioned earlier on, so that the learners feel that I'm part of it. I am part of the topic. So we cannot be introduced a topic keras-keras like electrostatic, and the students do not feel what electrostatic in my life. So it
Yes.
cannot be that way. So I suppose that is how I see your basically your examples to the template that you give us.
Thank you. Thank you. That actually explained what I really want to deliver. Yes. So yeah, when you were talking about issue the content that we share at Open Learning, we have we always follow the guide of to be not to have anything that is that will be that will touch the issue of race, religion, politics. We don't go into that. So to keep it professional and clean, we just use anything that's not very controversial. Um, that's one thing. And then the second thing is that when you want to use attention grabber, the reason why we use that is that we want the students, we like to relate to the students' life first. So whatever that we do in our life, we want to get the students to actually feel that and see how that is actually relating to the topic. I think that's what Dr. Aisha also mentioned just now.
Shaliza,
Yep.
uh, um, if I cross-reference to your template just now, after introduction and after the attention grabber tu, the next things that you have is actually transition, right?
Yes.
Transition, flow learner into the next content. So dalam contoh tadi tu, which part is the transition?
Okay, so you are at the content part. So in this example, this is what we call transition. Like from this story, bringing into voting is something that you have to write as a transition to get the students relating from the previous content to the next content. Um, because this course is not designed by any of our learning designer. This is from a lecturer, so it doesn't really show that. I will go into that later, Dr. Aisha. Okay, so is there anything else? Anyone would like to share anything? I'm not sure about the examples that I can go give for engineering topics, but when we had a course that was about physics, and we were also one of the attention grabber was to get everyone to share uh, something that you do that you think is related to physics. One of the things that people share was doing bungee jumping, and when people are sharing all this like daily activities, that they think is related to physics when it's actually related to physics actually. So students start to see that, oh, actually physics is actually something that I do in my life. So when you're talking about electrostatic, maybe you can find something that will connect the students to what they will use in their real in their life, to that topic, so that it's easier for them to actually understand, oh, this is what is it, this is what I'm learning, things like that. Okay, so the second example that I want to show you is this one. This one is a bit different. So the 6 seconds is one of the activity for the resume writing guide. So in this activity, the first, so this is not the, this is like I think in the first module of the course. So the first activity is looking for a job can be challenging, all those, that's the introduction line. And then it goes back to relate your resume as one of those nasi lemak trying its best to be noticed. So why this image is here? This image is actually to get the students to go from, so in the beginning of this course, it's relating to how you are choosing your nasi lemak in the morning. Like a freshly packed nasi lemak for this one. So it's actually relating from one page to the next. So this is like a scenario that we give to get the students to start thinking of how you actually have um, to um, to compete to be noticed in your resume. So the same goes if you are looking at something that looks the same, how will you get yourself noticed? So it goes back from the welcoming activity just now to this page, relating back to the nasi lemak just now. Looking a little different and interesting can get attention of a hungry customer, right? But all the nasi lemak usually just look the same. But how we choose it will be like tasting it, feeling it. Is which one is the warmest? Which one looks the freshest? That's what you will usually choose. And then there's a video as also here. So on open learning, when we're designing, we usually choose like a very short video. We don't want a video to go more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is the longest. So the best duration for video would be 1 to 2 minutes, because students get super bored super quickly. So you want them to just spend very short time on videos, and videos can also be very passive. Okay, so for in this video, it's actually showing how a recruiter is actually looking at your resume. You only have 6 seconds. And then, so the recruiter will actually look at certain parts of your resume, the name, the company, all those things, right? And then the next, so it goes from the video to the next one. So this is what we call attention grabber as well. Sorry, attention grabber. Transition. So from the video to transition students to get into the next content or next activity. In this case, it's an activity. So it's asking the students, let's try this simple but important activity. Imagine you are a recruiter. So this question, what captures your attention? And then it goes to getting the students to go, inviting the students to go into the next activity. So put yourself in their shoes. Shortly, we will be showing you 2 resumes. Since this may be your first time, instead of giving you 6 seconds, we'll be giving 10 seconds. So then they will experience it themselves. They'll do the 10-second challenge and look at 2 different resumes in 10 seconds and see what they can grab in the resume. Right? This is the second resume. Okay. And then the last one is to get the students to reflect. So what we get from the reflection is most of the students will go into the resume B because it was vivid enough to notice the essential information, well organized, because it looks more attractive, will show best in 6 seconds. So all these collective answers are actually the criteria that the students need to actually know what they need to have in your resume. So if you look at this activity, this page, from the beginning of the page, we're not actually feeding the students with the information. We're not telling them, but we are telling them to go and find, experience it yourself, and get the information themselves. So that's what we're trying to do in this activity. And the last activity that I want to show is this one. Sorry, just have to go a little bit quicker. Okay, so this activity, there are 3 activities in this page. This is pengajian kenegaraan course for a diploma course. Okay, for this activity is to actually get the students to, the last activity here is to actually get the student to find out or think of why or discuss why we need to be proud of our asal usul. So from the beginning of the page, the students asked to think about their asal keturunan. So we know that Malaysia is very diverse kan. So we have like we sometimes Malay are not really Malay. If you kaji sejarah, then it will be like from Arab lah, from China lah. So if they are sharing a picture like this, I don't have the sample of activity here, sorry, but what is supposed to be is that all the students are sharing pakaian kebangsaan from different countries. So then when it's collected here, in the next activity, students will be able to see then, oh, Malaysia, people are coming from Arab, people are coming from India, people are coming from China, all those things. And then melalui image-image yang anda perolehi di atas, bolehkah melihat daripada mana asal usul penduduk Malaysia. So then they will reflect from the collection of the images, they will get the idea, oh, Malaysia is diverse because of this, and we are actually not just coming from Malaysia, we are coming mostly from Southeast Asia, maybe something like that. And then at the end, maybe from that, then they can think about the culture, what we are eating, everything, and then reflect or get into group and discuss of how you can be proud of your asal usul, sejarah asal usul. So these are what we call constructive activities, and this is what we practice and apply when we're designing courses and activities at Open Learning, because when we design courses that is focused on the students, we call it student-centered activities. They feel that they are belong, they feel like these are their own learning, and it is personalized to them. And when you're doing all these things, they are more they'll be more motivated to participate in the activities. Do you have any questions? I think there's someone asking question. Let me check. Rindu kat Open Learning platform. Jenis video for the introduction part must serve the purpose of attention grabber. Yep. Okay. So do we have any other questions, sharing, please share with us today now. If you have questions for
SHALIZA, nak tanya.
Yes.
Apa ni, macam dalam platform Open Learning kan, every lessons tu kita tak perlu ada macam section kita terangkan pada student, okay, for this lesson, you will be doing this and this. Tak, dia tak ada kan, sebab tadi I tengok the page yang you tunjuk, dia macam straight aja, intro, kita straight aja pergi, dia or is it you put it in the announcement where you actually tell student, okay, in this lesson you will be experiencing this and you will have to do this. Ada ke yang tu?
Some of the courses we do, some we don't. It really depends on the course lah.
Yang tu perlu tak ada advantage, disadvantage tak? Sebab contohnya kalau kita tengok some platform yang lain, dia tak ada langsung tau macam arahan. Contohnya you masuk minggu tu punya supposed to be the course for that particular week lah. Dia memang tak ada arahan. Maknanya you terus je bank on follow dia punya sequence kan. Tetapi ada juga platform yang kita tengok yang online learning tu, dia start dulu dengan tell the students what would you expect for that particular lesson.
Ada. I also sometimes do it, especially for academic. Kalau courses tu daripada university, sometimes we do that because sometimes if it's a big course, or if it's not to say a long page, I'm not really we don't really think that is like very important. But if you really want the students, we usually would do it if we really want the students to um it's like it's not macam mana? It's like a activity yang wajib. So if it's a wajib activity, then we put there because we really need the students to complete the activity. Then we would put it. At least that's the reason why I would put it in some of my courses lah. But if the examples that I'm showing you, like the resume ni semua ni, are the courses yang open learning punya courses, so we don't put it lah. It's like commercial courses tak buat selalunya. But it is quite good to put, I think. Yep. Okay, so these two, finding my passion and what's your favorite, I will share with you the link. I think it is also on the dashboard. If you want to see these pages, you can go to your resources. You need to create an account on Open Learning first, or else if you click on this link, it will direct you to the into the welcome page, to the home page, not to the particular page that I want you to see. So just create your account first. Okay. Okay, so actually I wanted to get you to actually try the activities yourself. Do you want to do that? I'm just afraid of the time now. Do you think you want to go and try on these activities, these 3 activities, or not? Okay, no answer.
Can you show us first?
So do you want to try the activity on the starving girl? To do this, it might take a bit of a time. There are 3 activities that you can try on. This one, this one, this one. These 3 activities, you will need to create an account on Open Learning. Go to openlearning.com. Then just create your account there. And then come back here. Sorry.
Madam SHALIZA.
Yes.
So basically I'm not sure this is Dr. Nadia. Dr. Nadia Hamidun has mentioned that it might take some time.
Yes.
Maybe can we go to our next agenda?
Sure. So okay. So that was what I was asking you. Okay. So let's just go to the next one. These are also some resources that you can find on the Padlet page that I showed you just now. So you can go and read that. Okay, so criteria of good learning activities. So when you look at the activities that I've shared with you just now, there are 8 high quality learning activities that we always look into when we design courses at Open Learning. First is it needs to be relevant to the outcomes. Second, it needs to be relevant to the topic. Third, it needs to be interesting, motivating, and fun. Interactive and collaborative. Interactive and collaborative meaning that you get your students to actually do it, not just you. And then collaborative means not just the students share, the other students can actually go and maybe give review or feedback to that student. And then you want the students to connect, you want the activity to connect to the students' world. So it's not just some activity that will just, sometimes when you don't connect to their world, they don't know why this activity is important and they don't see why it is interesting. And then you always want the activity to be reflective. So always get your students to reflect on what they have learned. Also meaningful, like the first activity that I show you, when the student it's himself define the meaning of good journalism, and that belongs to me, that is meaningful for me, because that is what I created. That is the learning and the understanding that I created myself, not something like a text that I read or the definition of what good journalism is, right? And then always encourage self-expression. So it's always, we are always scared if you are doing online activities, you'll be I always get a question like, what if students just copy answers from other students? So if you create questions or activities that is always getting the students to reflect and encourage self-expression and all these things, you wouldn't have that problem, because their answers will always have to be authentic, always have to come from themselves, and you would know that they wouldn't be able to copy other people's answer. Okay, going carrying on. So you can ask your questions. These are the questions that you can ask yourself. Maybe we can take a look at this when I share with you the slides. Okay, so the 3-step process to designing a great activity. It is also already in the template that I've given you, in the course design template. Give it a second. Okay, you'll see the activity design template, right? Okay, there are 3-step process that we always do. First, we look at the course objective or course outcome. What do I want my students to achieve by the end of this activity? So when I design activity, I will imagine what kind of answer I want my students to post. I would sometimes even write the answer first, then the activity. Sometimes I write like, by the end of the activity, I want my learners to be sharing this. Then I would know what kind of activities I can create to get that answer, right? And then second is so once I get what I want my students to share, then I start creating, thinking of different activities that I can have for that particular objective, right? Um, it's fine if you have a few sets of activities, it's fine. And then I will evaluate and finalize. So I will look at the 8 high quality learning activities just now, and then finalize which one will be the best experience for the students. So if you go to the course template, if you go to the page activity design template, there's the learning outcome on the top, at the top, and then there's a place for you to brainstorm your activity. I've shared the activity that I've designed. So that's just actually one activity. It's for the students to actually share their experience and thoughts on the issues of hazardous products. So if you remember when I was sharing this activity, the draft of this activity, so to get the students to actually share this, I think that the students need to look at this scenario, the picture scenario of 2 couples buying groceries. And then maybe one of them said that he saw in the news that there's a dangerous ingredient. So this is something that actually maybe happen to most of us. When we go to grocery buying, and then we start thinking like, selamat ke? I thought I heard somewhere that this ingredient is not safe and things like that. And then maybe some news clippings to actually prove that these things exist. So they start thinking into this, and then only they share their thoughts based on their experience on how they will find safe products, or what they think about the issue today. Okay, and then I also have prepared the type of activities that you can do. These are just for your ideas. If you have more, it's better. If you have other than this, it's better. So these are the activities that you can use for your activity design. And then the last one, the third part, is for you to look back into your activities and assess it using this 8 high quality learning activities criteria. Okay, are you ready to do this? Shall we let's just take 5 minutes this time, because it's already 11. So it's 11:10 for me now. So 11:15 we continue, right? And at the end of this, remember, you will be presenting. I sure hope that I have a few volunteers to present to me present to us what you have done. Okay, I'm going to take a short toilet break. Okay, 5 minutes.
Madam Shaliza.
Yes.
So I have question regarding the activity design template because currently I'm teaching mathematics courses.
Okay.
So how do I make use of the template that you have come up with so that I am able to produce a very good activity for my course?
So mathematics.
Because for your information, for my course, there is basic knowledge about the application. We are focusing more on the um, fundamental topics. So macam mana kita nak buat how to make use of the activity to be more interesting, and at the same time kita tak nak stereotype punya activities lah.
So apa dia punya first apa dia punya lesson outcome?
So basically the lesson outcome because I'm designing using your course design template as if I'm trying to design a course within a week lah kan. So maksudnya for that particular week the learning outcome would be identify the formula for basic trigonometric function and apply trigonometric identities to solve trigonometric equation.
Okay, wow. Okay. Saya memang tak pandai maths. Okay, tapi tapi sebelum ni kan we have been doing some mentoring for Unimai University. They also have a lot of mathematics punya courses. So what we would suggest for them is macam trigonometric ni, kalau if you're going to do the introduction or the attention grabber, maybe you can relate to some of the things that relates to trigonometric in real life. Ada tak?
Which is exactly what I'm doing for my current course ni lah. So,
Apa dia yang how does it I pun tak tahu how does it relate to the real life?
Because normally there are certain activities yang apply trigonometric punya properties lah in real world problem. So by right apa yang kita buat adalah kita just inspire them. Maksudnya kita just share. Okay, this real world problem they are actually applying trigonometric functions to make them to make their problems easier lah. Macam tu je kita just bagi maksudnya set induction yang macam Dr. Aisha cakap tadi more towards the sharing session with contohnya aktiviti-aktiviti yang ada kat luar lah yang menggunakan fungsi trigonometrik ni.
Ya, betul macam tu, lebih kurang macam tu, tapi boleh tak bagi kat saya apa dia contoh dia tu?
Alright. Contohnya ada penggunaan trigonometry in navigation, GPS navigation.
Okay, so in that case dalam boleh tak macam dalam dia punya attention grabber tu ataupun maybe at the beginning of the course, I don't know, at the beginning of the topic, if it's like a lot of things for you to cover kan, like just at the beginning of the topic, get the students to actually pergi when you're using GPS tu, suruh diorang actually really use the GPS, and then after they have used the GPS, you get them to share something that will relate to the trigonometric punya like how trigonometric ni is applied on GPS. So dia orang cakap, oh sebenarnya GPS yang dia orang guna ni rupanya ada kat situ ada. They're using this method to actually cari jalan kat GPS. Ada tak a way that you can actually get the students to get there?
Boleh.
Macam itulah lebih kurang.
So that one should be good enough lah kan?
Yes. Okay, so 11:20 now. I'm going to continue. So if you have any questions, you can just ask along the way. So I think this is almost the end of the last one. No, the second last one, developing effective content. So we will learn the types of content that you can use, how to chunk and vary your content, and the tone that you can use in your course. And then at the end of this, you'll be creating one content page for your online course. Okay, so in your learning page or your content page should be divided, should have all these 5 sections. First is the introduction, second is the activity, then the content, transition, and closing. So how we're going to use that? For example, as I'm using the Halal Assurance Management System course, so the introduction should grab the learner's attention. So I think we have discussed this earlier, and I don't want to um, go through that again. So it should be engaging. It should quickly get the students to get right into the topic and engage them right away. So once you get them to engage, they will stay on the page. Just remember one thing, online learning, uh, it only takes one click and your students will just be gone. So you don't want to lose them. You don't want to get for them to get distracted. You want them to stay on your page. So the first thing that you want to do is get them to be interested in that topic right away. And then this introduction should get the students should bring the students into the topic. So what we usually do is to get them to relate to their real life experience. So just think of what they do every day that relates to the topics. That's the easiest way to do it. The second one is activity. Activity we have discussed, so you can just use the activity that you have designed, and then you need to always transition your students. For example, um, from the scenario just now where they are having the conversation, so I want to transition them into this activity. So I go and give them this line. After looking at the sharing in the activity above, you must be thinking of how much we are relying on the halal certification. So they have looked at the scenario, they have shared, and then I want them to go into the topic. So I'm asking them, what I'm doing in the transition is to get them to see how much we are relying on the halal certification to make sure our food is halal and safe for us, which means the system needs to be very consistent and reliable. So what I'm trying to do is to get them to see that consistency in food safety system is important. That's why that is what the course is teaching about the system, right? The halal assurance management system. So they need to have that same consistency in their organization or their premises to make sure that their food is safe. So then I get them into reading the content. And the content should not be long. You should chunk it into smaller pieces, so you don't give like a full text page of text for your students to learn. So that way you can easily lose their engagement, and they can easily get bored or don't understand the content. So if you know how our brain works, we have the working memory and the long-term memory, right? Our working memory or processing memory can only take from 3 to 7 things at once. 7 is like the most. Usually average people can only think about 3 things. So you don't want to put a lot of things in your content for your students to process. That will make it very hard for them. They will think it's very hard, and they can't actually process that, and they can't actually understand that. But chunk it into smaller ones, like maybe 2 to 3 things for them to learn, concept for them to learn in one bit of content. Then you move them to the next one, or you give something that will give a gap from the first to the second, or get them to uh, understand the concept better. Then only you move to the next one. Okay. Chunking your content into smaller pieces. How to do it to make sure that your students understand is to give examples. And then the second one is to get them to try it. So that's why you always see in open learning we have a lot of like activity content and then activities, content and then activity. Why we do that is because we want the students to just grasp the concept first and then understand it, then only we move to the next one. So it's like flowing them slowly through the content so that they can actually in the end understand the whole concept of the thing that you want to them for them to understand. Your content also needs to be simple. Do not use hard bombastic words, canggih-canggih. No. What we want to do is when you read blogs, that's what you want to try to that's how you want to try to write on your course pages. You want it to be you want to write as if you're talking to your students. So just avoid using all these hard words or complex sentences, right? And then always try to involve your students in giving examples and collaboratively share content. So how we do it is when sometimes you have too many things to give your students, right? You have this big of a concept for them to understand, and to understand this, maybe they need a lot of scenarios to see how it's happening, like problems that can occur in real life. So maybe in the part of the problem occurring, maybe you can get, instead of you giving them, you get them to actually go out and search for it and come back and bring it into the course. And then everyone can actually share the content together, and you can actually get your students to then go back and find look at other people's the problem that other people posted, and get them to try to find solution for that problem, right? So it's actually them giving content to their peers and them working together, not just you. And then the language and tone, again, it should be easy to understand, shorter sentences, should use active voice. If you look at any copyright tips or copywriting tips on writing, they would also always say do not use complex sentences, do not use passive voice, use active voice. And also no jargons and friendly tone. So it's always like you're talking. Let's take a look at this video. What do you find in this video? Do you want to blah blah blah? You know, just talk to them. And then the media. You will always need to vary the media. If you only have text and then text and then text and then text, like I said just now, you're going to lose the students' engagement. So you might want to have for one concept, text, and then you move to video, and then you move to infographic, and then you move to articles. So there's a lot of things that we can get from the internet. You don't actually have to curate your content yourself. You can actually go outside there and get everything from the internet and bring into your course. So the type of media that I usually use infographic, and I use Canva, Crello, and Flaticon for this. Flaticon is actually icons. On open learning, we need to use a lot of icons. I'm not sure about the platform that you're using. For the images, so remember that picture says 1,000 words. So sometimes when I was talking about giving a break in between content, you can also use images and graphic to put that break. So if you are explaining a concept, then bawah tu you can just put a diagram. You explain the concept and then you use an image. Not to just explain the thing that you're saying, you can use also an image to provoke your students' thoughts. So images, CC0 images, in our online courses, we are not allowed to use anything that's copyrighted. So we use a lot of Pexel, Unsplash, and Pixabay. And then you can get articles from the internet, news clippings, blog, diagram. And I think if your students are university students, they will love a lot of GIF and memes. So you can try to use that, but just make sure that you're not using anything that is controversial, anything political, anything that is not proper. And another way that I like to do is to use analogy and metaphor. Sometimes when you are explaining something that is very hard, a concept that is very hard to understand, using metaphor analogy will help a lot. For example, the sailboat that I used today. So those kind of things are something that you can use, or you can just use images to draft, or use Canva to, to show a picture. Okay, so lastly, you need to have a closing. This really depends on you. So some educators would like to recap the session. So today, what you have learned in this page is this. It is actually useful to do that, because sometimes students get lost in the content, and they learn and then just move to the next topic. Sometimes putting the points of what they actually have learned in that page will get them to realize, oh, okay, I know this, I'm not so sure about this. I go back and I check back and I learn back, and then I know that I've covered this topic. But what we always do is we get them to look forward to the next topic. So sometimes, for example, what does halal mean and what is toib? So sometimes we show them how this next topic will actually link to this topic that they're learning. So you provoke them with more questions, and then you bring them to the next page. Okay. Is there any questions? Okay, no questions. So I'm going to show some of the examples of the pages. So in this example, this is a welcoming page. This Be Future Ready Educator Now. Maybe you can take this course also. This is a course offered by APU. I designed this course. In this course, to get them to this is for the introduction. I get them to think of what is online teaching and learning. How is it different from face-to-face learning? Imagine waking up on a beautiful morning, turning on your laptop and starting to teach. Wouldn't that be great? So there are three GIF image that I share. It's a slide and it's using image, and it's showing them the good things about online learning. So if you want your course to have a positive vibe from the beginning of the course, you show them positive things about whatever topic that you're teaching. So you example that. So that is part of the motivation and part of the facilitation. Okay, and then in this page, on open learning, we can do this because we have the widgets. So in this page, the next thing that they will see is all the sharings from their friends from the activity below. And then only they'll go, oh, look at the activity, and then only they will go back up and try to, reply to all this sharing. So by doing this, you can actually get your students to learn. You know how students love pictures, images. So you get the page to look very interesting and attractive. But I'm not sure if the other platforms can do this. Okay, so I have another example, the ethics of genetics. In this page, it uses a lot of videos, if you can see. Watch these videos, start thinking about the ethics of genetics. And then also it has a movie. So and then lastly, only the activity. So what it's trying to do is to actually give a different types of information to the students, so that the students can in the end reflect in the activity down there. So that's how you can use videos. But just remember, bear in mind that videos can be very passive. So if you want to use videos, you want to have your students to or want to have questions to provoke your students to reflect from what they are seeing. Okay, I have a lot more examples, but maybe I can share this in the resources. Okay, so now the last thing that you have to do is, not the last thing actually, you need to based on the learning outcome, the course outline, and you have prepared, and the activity that you have, you can now design your course page, right? So I have a sample of course page here. So in this course page, it is also included in your, the link is also included in your course design here, is your course design template. So you can take a look at it. I've given you a guide on the page intro. Yes.
Puan Shaliza, boleh Puan Shaliza hantar sekali lagi tak yang course design template tu?
Boleh, sekejap ya. Let me just show you this first. Oh, okay. So here you can see the first one, which is the page intro. And if you want to see transition, you can just click there and you'll see the transition here. I also have added the tips on the comment section. So don't delete the comment. So you can always come back and refer to this and see what is content and then what kind of activities. And I have like put some points there. I hope you can understand it. And then chunk your content, and here are things that you can just the same as what I have in my slide. So I have it here as well, so you can use this page as your reference. Okay, let me share with you apa tadi? The file for the course design template. Okay, so what I'm hoping is that for you to use your learning outcome just now, the course outline that you have created and the activity that you have created, try to put it on a page. So it can just be this page, this document page. It doesn't have to be on your platform yet. Just so that you can plan the flow of the content on your course page later. Does anyone want to ask any questions or want to share anything?
I don't have question.
Okay, so let's take some time for you to complete this activity, or maybe we can take 5 minutes only, and then we move on to the next section. Creating, motivating, safe, and this is going to be the last section. And one activity, two activity, and then it's show time for you to show your course page.
Okay,
Okay.
Shaliza, when I open up the course design template tu, macam mana saya nak dapat yang sample course page tetapi yang ada komen-komen tepi tu? Bila saya download kan, saya download, then saya pergi dekat sample course page tu, saya control click kan. Bila saya control click tu, dia pergi to a share punya document, tetapi saya tak dapat pun yang macam ada komen-komen kat tepi that, like what you shown us.
Let me check. Ada, yang ni ada. If I click from the course template, you have all this kan, in your course template you have the sample course page punya link.
Ada.
But when you open it, tak ada
When I open it, I cannot get yang macam komen tepi-tepi kanan tu.
Tak apa, let me just but I see a lot of people inside here, see? Let me just, that's okay, I'll just share the link to this page. Okay, I'll just share the link to this page, and maybe from there you can access. So I've shared the link to the document as well on the chat. So you can try to open it and see if you are in. I've got a few people here.
Masih tak dapat. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
I show you.
Let me stop sharing first.
Puan Shaliza, I boleh buka tapi tak dapat tengok komen.
Itulah.
Yang lain dapat tak? Yang ada dekat dalam course page tu.
Okay, bila I buka, I dapat ni. Bila I dapat ni, I tak ada komen yang kanan-kanan tu. Memang I nampak ada orang lain kat atas tu lah. But I cannot get the comments like the one that you shown us.
So meaning that semua pun tak dapat kot.
Maybe
Why
lah.
Tak dapat?
I stop share.
Because earlier you kata jangan delete komen tu kan. So kita orang nak delete komen pun tak boleh sebab tak nampak komen.
Okay, let me change the Okay, if you reload again the document, can you see the comment now?
But dah dapat.
Dah dapat kan?
Dah dapat.
It was because of I put it as viewer. I don't put it as commenter. Sorry,
Okay.
my bad.
Thank you.
So sekarang ni semua orang boleh komen.
Boleh komen.
So akan jadi macam-macam lah nanti.
Janganlah komen.
Jangan add lah sebab ni template kan.
Sebab I don't know if you download this, if you download this as PDF, I think you can still see the comments. I think lah. Let me try.
Tak ada komen.
Kat PDF tak ada?
Tak ada. Kalau
Okay,
kita download as PDF, can
You can download as Microsoft Word, then you can see the comments.
Okay, so you can download as Microsoft Word then.
Dapat.
Okay, thank you.
Puan Shaliza,
Yeah.
I nak tanya, kalau kita buat online course tapi instructor tak terlibat dalam course tersebut, macam it is a free online course, so kalau kita dapatkan feedback daripada learners, macam mana apa yang saya nak cakap no engagement daripada instructor sebabkan dia free course kan, free online course. I tak tahu, you faham tak maksud saya macam mana? Dia kan ada course yang free online course, dah katakan kita buat MOOC kan, ada yang course berbayar tu instructor ada involve lah kan. Tapi there's a course yang tak ada instructor, yang free online course, tapi kita nak letak yang this kind of activity, dia talks apa semua. Kayaknya instructor tak involve lah kan, tapi dia boleh communicate among peers, among their learners lah kan, among the learners lah kan.
Yes, that's true. So in MOOC courses, so it depends. If you know that you're designing MOOC courses, then the activity that you design will have to get your students to engage among them. So memang tak ada, mostly memang tak ada lah. All the courses that the example that I gave you pun, some of it memang tak ada instructor. So that is we call it a fully online course. Memang the interaction will only happen between the learners. But there are MOOC who with the educators coming in, instructor coming in, facilitating. Those MOOCs, I'm telling you, it has more engagement than the ones yang tak ada. So tapi it's a lot of work lah, because MOOC will have like its open courses will have like 1,000, 2,000 students sometimes. So so that depends on you lah. If you want to give commitment, then yes, you can get more engagement. If you But there's another way where what people do is they appoint students as facilitators. I'm not sure. Usually that is done by university lecturers. What they do is, you know how students are sometimes, we have some students who are intrinsically motivated, some are not, kan?
Mm-mm.
So all these young students yang excited ni, you don't actually have to do much for them. They will learn no matter what content you give them because they want to learn. So you can leverage these students and use them to give to help facilitate your course as well.
But we don't know our learners kalau semua apa kalau kita open that course put into platform,
Oh
right?
yeah, yep,
We don't
yep.
know our learners. Kalau yang macam yang kita cakap sekarang ni sebab kita fokus on our course yang kita registered based on the curriculum structure in our university. But when we put it upload our course into a platform, kan,
Oh yeah,
Coursera ke, that example kan.
you wouldn't
Open
have
learning.
anyone.
We don't know our students, so
So it will
itu
be
yang I punya concern.
it will all depends on the activity that you do and the instruction. So instruction has to be really clear, and because or else so sometimes what we do in our courses, we will be like one, do this activity. Second, go to the posting below and comment on your peers. And another way is that on open learning, we can actually turun naikkan the widgets tau. So we can have one sharing activity first, so they will share, and then kat bawah tu I can put another instruction. So wait, I can put the sharing activity, sorry, they share, and then bawah tu all the gallery, so all the submission will appear, and then I put another widget with an instruction to get the students to collect the information from the sharing that they have given. So collect this information and then do another activity from that information. So by doing that, you are actually getting them to reuse the content. But to do that, you need to have a very, very clear instruction, or else tak jadi sebab dia tak faham.
Betul, I agree with you. Kayaknya bukan senang jugalah kan. Lagi-lagi kalau yang baru nak start nak design.
Satu lagi cara is if you want to make sure that your course is instruction tu clear, so it's really what you want the students to do, is to do a user testing lah. So dah siap course tu, you appoint 5 students to go into the course and then bagi feedback. So buka semua link, buat semua activity, and anything that they don't understand, meaning that that instruction is not good. So you need to do a user testing lah. We do that as well at open learning. Tapi kalau seorang-seorang memang susah, kalau ada team memang senang boleh buat. Okay. Are you okay with the course page? I'm just going to continue. It's almost 12. So the next one is creating motivating, safe and welcoming environment. I think for this topic, we have actually gone through a lot here. We have been sharing, and some of the tips have been shared either by you or by me along the workshop just now. So there are 2 scenarios I've given here. The first scenario is you are participants joining a face-to-face workshop on a topic of integrating AR, VR into your teaching and learning. This is a very new topic for you and you do not know anyone in this workshop. You are quite uncomfortable and confused on what to do first. What is one thing that can help you feel less nervous and comfortable? So if you can share on this page. Sorry, there's a lot of testing from me. And then the second scenario is you are a teacher and today it will be your first class for the semester. You are excited to meet your students and really want to make your students feel welcome and start interacting with each other from this first day of class. What would you do? What would you do to get your students to start interacting in the first day of class? So we're talking about you can think of this as an online thing, or a face-to-face thing if you can't relate to an online learning yet. So if
Shaliza,
yeah.
are you sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm not. Oh my god. Let me share again. Let me share. Give me a second. Oh my god. Okay. So this is the page. You can come to this page. Uh, the link is on the chat. If you can just click on the link and try to give what are the things that you can help you feel less nervous, one. And in the second scenario, if what would you do in the first class, on your first class, to get people start interacting? You can just share in one scenario, just choose one and share in one. If you want to share in both, it's better. 2 minutes for that. 11:51 on my clock now. Okay, so I can see that. Thank you. There's a lot of sharing also already. So Nadia is saying that let's go from the top. In scenario one, you are saying that smiling and greet others and having light conversation with other participants can ease your nervousness. Some saying hi, hello to me will make me feel a bit warm. Make friends with other participants, get to know the person next to me, start a conversation with the person next to me, greeting other participants. And then to make your students start talking to each other, um, make group activity for the purpose of ice breaking, make friends with them by telling light jokes so that they can reach me without feeling worry, to get the students to share about themselves. So these are the things, if you look at it, these are the things, the same thing that you can apply on your online courses. So in an online courses, we will always have the welcoming note. Oops, sorry. Welcoming note is when you start saying hi to your students. And so in all of our courses, we'll have like hello and welcome to the course. There's a little doubt that augmented and virtual reality. So it's like starting it with explaining to them what's going to happen in the course. And then if you look at this also in this course, the AR VR course, we have the Marvelous Me activity. This is the introduction activity, but this introduction activity will then help the students to actually do the activity in the course. So in the course, they will actually use what they have chosen from the Marvelous Me activity. So this is a very interesting activity. The link is for this course is in the your resources page here. So you can just come back here anytime and try the activity. And for this course, it's the nasi lemak for the introduction, for the hi and welcome. So it gets the students to quickly think about their nasi lemak. I hope it doesn't make people hungry. And then also the ice breaking activity. So ice breaking activity is meant for you to get your students to start talking to each other. So usually in an ice breaking activity, we sometimes we don't want to it's okay if you don't want it to be connected to your lesson. Sometimes we have activities that so far is getting a lot of engagement, is an activity to get people guessing clues, like what we did in our Padlet page just now. And then the next the other activity that gets it's always about guessing, I think. And then there's one yang the game that you always play, like share 3 things about you. One is not right, not true, and then people will have to guess. So when people have to guess, they will go back to they will be active, because I don't know, somehow people like to do that. um Other than that, there's this activity that our colleague learning designer from Sydney did, which was very engaging. In his course, he made the students to continue um, continue a quote. So one person start a sentence, the next person reply, and then Once you think the sentence is complete, you'll have to create a graphic on Canva and then share it back in the course. So that activity was very engaging as well. So you can you can do trial and error. So you want to get your students to start talking at the beginning or at the first page of your course. Once you get them to do that, you won't have any problem to get them engaged throughout your course. So what I will usually do is I get the first course for them to talk in the first course, and I create a very light and easy first module. So in the first module, there will be a lot of sharing, a lot of easy things for them to share, so they don't feel very, it's not very daunting for them to start sharing. And it's a lot of no right and wrong questions, so that they don't feel like, oh, takut salah, tak ada, right? Again, it's simple, casual and friendly tone, easy language, the ice-breaking activity, get students start interacting. This is what I shared just now, appoint students as facilitators. Also, it's something that a lot of lecturers have done. They have, even before the course started, sometimes, even when you create the introduction activity pun, the ice breaking activity, no matter how interesting it is, students will not do it. Like, it will be like click in the first day of the course. So what you want to do at that time is that not you went inside and say hi to the participants. What you want to try, because in your sharing also you have been saying that you want to say, you want to get a friend and say hi to someone in the workshop, right? So in your course, what you want to do is to get some of other students to actually start posting and start replying. So you want the interaction to start from a student, not from you. Okay. And then let your students feel capable is what I mean when from in the first module, you make everything very easy and very light. So try to leverage of what they have already in their minds, like the knowledge that they already have. So they won't feel like, oh, this course is so hard, I don't want to try to do this one. I'm scared. So you make them to recall and repeat and relate to a lot of things that they already know. Attractive and impactful. Oops. Create a safe place to fail. No right and wrong answers. Okay, so the next one is the sharing that I need from you guys as well, of how you will motivate your students. This one is very important because we will use this to discuss on how you can use this, or it's going to be like a gathering of tips on how to motivate your students. So can we quickly do this? It's number 08. So there's no nothing yet. So if you can just think of just share one thing that you always do to motivate your students, like you currently do right now, or something that you are thinking of doing. Don't worry if it's right or wrong, just keep on sharing. You know how people always talk about giving badges, like as simple as giving motivating words, um, what else, rewards, so those are the things that you can just share. Mana ni semua orang dah tak ada. Give them a crystal clear assessment criteria. Thank you, Aziman. Okay. Okay, so continuing. So motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. So there are two types of motivation. Intrinsic is something that comes from inside. Extrinsic is something that comes from outside. So intrinsic is usually mostly the things that the student, it's he or himself or herself wants to do it because they want to do it. So that is the best kind of motivation that you can have or a student can have, and you want, kalau boleh, you want all the students to have all this intrinsic motivation, but unfortunately we don't have a lot of that. So we can help them to get intrinsically motivated with something. So in the sharing that you have done here, reinforce the belief that they can be beneficial by asking them to raise hands, say yes in the chat section if they did a good deed to someone today. Okay, so that's one. The second one is reward with extra marks for activities that involve. Okay, share my experience during my studies. When I conducted my lecture face to face, I tend to have a slot where I share how I did during my degree years, how my behaviors and action made who I am today. All right, and then the last one here is put up a picture they can inspire others. So what I'm trying to do here is, if you look at all this sharing that you have done, some of these are intrinsic motivation, like these two, sharing experience, trying to inspire your students, is trying to get them to intrinsically be motivated to learn. Rewarding with extra marks for activities, they are also okay, but they are mostly extrinsic motivation. So it's a motivation that comes from outside. So you can also opt to do that, um, but you want to actually get your students to be intrinsically motivated so that it's easy. It's the learning will actually come from themselves. I think this one is also okay. Reinforce the belief that they can be beneficial by asking them to raise hands and say yes in the chat section if they did a good deed to someone today. So that is I feel like this one is more into getting them to participate. I feel if the owner of this can explain more. Praising and motivating. Praise the students when they give good answer, motivate the students when they give wrong answer. Most important thing, they want to try. Yep. I would say that this is also an intrinsic, helping them to get intrinsically motivated, because praising, motivating them, giving, creating positive vibes, creating safe environment for them to share things. Those are the things that you want to change their motivation from inside. Okay, you also want to make them to feel belonging. Belonging is like when you are creating student-centered activity in your course. Make them own their learning, like the one that you see, the activity that you see from the vulture just now. It's to get your students to actually own what they have shared, right? It's from their own understanding. And then you can also get them to choose the topics from for their assignment. So not just always you giving them, but you want to open it and then tell them that to choose which topic they want to work on. And then let them participate in adding content to the course. the one that I suggested earlier, is also another way. So they feel like, oh, they belong to this course. This is their course. This is their learning. So because they are participating, and then and everything that you design in the course has to be about your students. So um, so try to make everything about them. If you want if you want to share something, get them to share it. If you want an example, get them to share the example. Get them to share their experience. So they are learning from their each other experience. And then so try to let the interaction be among them. Try not to not to jump in first. Let them interact in between them first, but then only you come and say, oh yes, oh hi, oh thank you, things like that. And then do a lot of peer reviewing in your course. Let your Do a lot of peer feedback and group work. And then give them encouraging and positive feedback. um, mm, so I think that is what I have so far. uh, for the feedback as well, if it's possible, get them to have feedback from peers, not just coming from you. But at the end of the lesson, you can give feedback. Make sure that it is constructive, never demotivating them, always helping them to improve. And then the environment from the beginning to the end of the course, it needs to be very positive. All the sharing needs to be very positive. Even from the students have to be positive. That's why you need to to avoid any um, controversial issues like race, religion, politics, uh, everything you don't want to put inside your course, because that will actually get it to be very panas nanti, semua gaduh. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Puan Shaliza,
Yes.
I would like to share with what I had with my students. Kan kita selalu ni ada WhatsApp group kan dengan students. And normally student bila dia ada masalah ataupun tak faham satu topik tu, dia akan personal message kan.
Yeah.
So what I did, I asked them to post the question in the WhatsApp group among them. And I always tell my student that please support each other. Maksudnya yang faham boleh tolong jawab instead of they are waiting for the lecturer to answer. So from there, the peers pun will learn, others will learn from each other lah. The students akan learn from each other, and then I will give feedback after all the discussion. Thank the student who try to answer, even though it's wrong. So still for the courage that they have the brave to answer, and then for those who are pose the question. So I wrap up the question based on the jawapan-jawapan yang dapat, and then kenapa yang si A ni jawab macam ni adalah based on this theory ke apa kan. Kalau kita tambah lagi baik dengan fakta yang ini ke. So normally I always create that moment in my WhatsApp group among students.
Okay, that's very nice. Thank you. So that is exactly that is actually a wrap up of what I've explained just now. Can you share with me how is your student reacting to this way of your facilitation punya teknik ni?
To be honest, they are very happy, and one thing sebab kita tak judge diorang bila diorang buat silap, malah I always encourage them. So they are freely to talk. They rasa their freedom for them to express their feelings, ataupun dia tak faham pun dia akan rasa easily to express the question. Instead of personal message ke ataupun tak faham diam macam tu. In the class also I be like that. I really appreciate for those who are asking the question. I always tell them before you step out from my class, even online class, I want you to understand And if you not understand, please ask me now instead of you keep it in yourself.
Yes. Okay, so that means you have created a safe environment for them. They don't feel takut to say anything. They feel they can share. They feel safe. They don't feel that if they are wrong, they are going to be judged. So those are the things that maybe all of you can also jot down and gather, um, and learn more from Awanis, right? Dr. Awanis ke?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Awanis, yeah.
Thank you very much. Ada tak lain-lain yang nak share dia punya experience? We are almost at the end of our workshop. Okay. If no, so the last thing that I have here is, so when you are facilitating and motivating your students in your course, think of it of asking a child to walk to a tree. So how are you going to get them to walk to a tree? Do you want to instruct her, tell them, okay, go straight, go left, go depan, go ni, masuk bawah tu, pergi sana? Or you just going to let the student to just walk their way? They can go, they can petik bunga, they can, goling-goling, they can just do whatever they want, they can run, and but they can get to the tree, they will get to the tree their own way. So the same thing in your course, you need to let your student know the learning outcome. What is it that they will achieve at the end of the course? And then you want to leave them to freely get there the way they want. So here are what you need to know. Here's the activity that can help you. You are free to explore more. You are free to try and make mistakes. You are free to create your own examples and relate from your own experiences. But I will guide you so that you achieve the learning outcome. So you are there to guide them, not to instruct them, not to tell them if they're right or wrong. Just let them grow or go the way that they want to. And I always like to think of teaching and learning is like planting, growing a plant. If you grow a plant in a pot, a small pot, it will grow. It can grow, but to a certain um, extent or to a certain height, dia besar sikit, and then it will stop growing because the resources that you give is very little. So it's very confined because it's in a pot. But if you take that plant, it's a tree, and you grow it in a big field with a lot of resources, udara ada, semua benda ada, everything is subur, the plant can actually grow into a big beautiful tree. So that's what I like to think of teaching and learning. I think I see someone saying something. Oh, okay. So the next one is, ta-da! The show time is for you to present your course page. If I can get at least one person to share, at least one person to share what they have done is good enough. Who wants to volunteer?
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sorry lah, saya pun masuk lambat. Tengah bagi komputer. Saya in my class, saya tak, I'm not good in giving the orang kata nice word or whatever. But what I did, I give I design my assessment. First day tu everything is in the hands lah. And during the first day, I give them my assessment handout together with the assessment criteria. With that criteria, I discuss whether they understand or not. It's like giving them a clear picture what they should do. And along the way, I design my submission tu. They can submit earlier. There are two submissions. The first submission is kind of, I will give a feedback. Okay, dia salah ke, tak betul ke, whether dia dapat ke tak markah ataupun kriteria tu dia comply, penuhi atau tidak. So kalau tidak, kita bagi saya bagi feedback. kenapa ni kat sini kena betulkan kat sini, kena ini kan. Yang tu saya buat secara self assessment dan peer assessment. Jadi dia boleh belajar daripada kawan dia dan dia juga boleh menilai kawan dia. Then from there they get some ideas. For the actual submission, dia kena hantar yang apa orang kata with a correction that they already learn. Then somehow they apa kata memang dia confident boleh dapat markah bagus, sebab saya pun boleh bagi markah bagus sebab kriteria dia capai, kan. Dan dekat situlah yang orang kata I observe even silent student ke typical student lah kan, dalam kelas ni ada yang aktif, ada yang kata biasa lah, ramai biasa lah. They also orang kata engage to work on their correction and submit. So that's my way lah untuk orang kata keep nak kata motivated ni. Tak jugalah saya rasa. I don't know whether it's the right word or not. But that's my approach in getting students clear what they have to do in the class, in the also how to get the acquired designated learning outcomes tu, kan. And how to get it is by through a clear assessment criteria. If they are not clear, then I'm still not doing orang kata good lah. Walaupun maybe pada panel, pada orang yang dalam bidang tu jelas, tapi pada student dia benda baru, bila dia sendiri tak faham, kan, dia tak jelas, dia tak, maknanya kita saya masih tak berjaya lah, sebab student tak jelas. Walaupun kriteria tu jelas. Sebab apa dia tak fikir dalam. So ada orang dia first time dia tanya memang dia tanya, sir nak macam mana ni, gini. Ada orang dia buat ni typical student. Masa kena assessment tu, when we assess during the peer and self assessment, and that time the moment they actually somehow realize what I meant in the handout lah.
Why you give the criteria in the first
place?
Yeah,
the criteria is meant for what? At that moment of time, most students do realize, this is what I meant. Because previously they mungkin dia banyak kerja, banyak assessment, banyak test, banyak subjek lagi, kan. Dia KIV dululah, delay dululah, macam tu lah. Time bila nak buat assessment tu, orang kata self assessment and peer assessment tu, and then they have to because one thing that I observe, bila dia menilai orang lain, dekat situ dia kena faham apa yang perlu dinilai dan apa perkara yang kawan dia buat tu dia kena faham. Jadi dekat situ moment orang kata some kind of indirect reflection happen. Itu saya buat. Lepas tu bila dia realize, I buat salah lah, patut I kena buat macam ni, macam kawan dia lah, katakan macam tu. Walaupun yang dia bagi makan untuk diri sendiri tu tinggi jugalah sebab dia nak makan. Kan, tapi I don't take count that mark. They just as an exercise to activate dia punya brain activity tu lah, untuk orang kata go deep and then reflect whether they are doing right or wrong, right? And then how other people doing, macam tu lah, as kind of learning, because it's still formative assessment. Dan bila dia hantar yang actual, yang dia dah realize, okay, they have to do this way and this way to match the criteria whatever, they get a good mark lah. Because I also happy to give a good mark because they
come to that,
comply all the requirements.
So
jadi dia orang happy lah, banyak-banyak. Typical pun happy. Jadi okay lah, saya okay lah tu. As long as they happy, match meeting the learning outcome, that's my job only.
So what you're doing is actually, you are, without the students realizing it, you are making them learn from their peers. What they feel they are doing is actually reviewing their peers. Dia orang review, tiba-tiba tengok, dia sebenarnya belajar daripada what the student is, the kawan is actually doing. So
Ya,
they don't,
dia pun dapat feedback juga daripada kawan dia sebab dia buat self assessment dan peer assessment. Peer assessment resmi, dia pun dinilai oleh kawan dia. Jadi dia pun menilai kawan dia. Jadi dia self assessment is actually nak tengok nak guna sebagai benchmark. Kata okey, I buat macam ni. Tapi rasa macam tak betul lah dengan requirement yang saya nak kan. Lepas tu dia pun tengok orang lain buat. Dan apa yang dia buat juga, dia dapat feedback daripada kawan-kawan dia yang dalam peer assessment tu lah. Jadi okey, dia dapat idea lah macam mana how to make things better lah, macam tu lah. So
thank you.
alright.
Encik
Okay.
Aziman ke doktor ke saya tak tahu, tapi thank you very much. That is a very excellent way to actually get your students to not just motivate, to actually get them to get to the to achieve the learning outcome. And by showing the clarity from the beginning of the course, you dah tunjuk dah kriteria apa exactly that you want in that particular assignment, is actually something that we also practice at Open Learning. We also do that as well as learning designers. Any other person who wants to share? I see someone who's sharing on the chat. So Wan Jumani is sharing, I do the same as Aziman as well, but I ask students to do mock. They also do peer review. Making mistakes are cool as long as we learn from them. Yes, that's true. Okay. So, thank you very much for all your sharing. Does anyone wants to have created a page that you want to show today? Yes, it's okay, Nadia. Yes. Anyone who wants to share? Last chance. Okay, kalau tak ada pun tak apa. If you want to still share your course page, I have this Padlet page I've created for you to share it. I can share the link here, or you can just go to my, wait, give me a second. You can just go to my Padlet page and open the page there. Sharing your course page will actually help your peers to learn from each other, because you can also add comment and stuff there. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please ask now. If you want to share anything, please share now. If you don't, I would also like you to evaluate my workshop or give me some feedback. Here's my form for the workshop feedback form. Please give me some feedback, because I'm also a freelance trainer and learning designer. That would be very helpful for me. Okay.
I have a question.
Yay, okay.
So for a lot of activities that has been designed, somehow is more suited for synchronous learning, and less for asynchronous learning, even less for synchronous learning that is and like totally open learning. Sometimes we have asynchronous learning, but we usually say, okay, for this week you guys gonna learn about this, so you guys are gonna do this according to your time, but it's more or less within a week, because like maybe next week you're gonna have quiz or something like that, so they have to learn before that. But somehow but it will be, I'm not sure how can we, I guess we have to be more creative, but the point being is it's very challenging to design a course and ask for feedback. Say, for example, we want students to give feedback in there, what they feel and that, but we ourselves are not there at all the time. And we actually can't be there all the time to like check and give feedback when the students are return the feedback that we request them to give. So what would be your opinion on that?
Do you have like, I don't know how it works on your platform. Do you have like a forum or a place where students can when you can actually chat with your students? Like tadi ada yang sharing guna WhatsApp group. I think that's something that that you can do outside of the
When
platform.
SHALIZA,
Yeah.
we do have that feature in our platform.
Okay. Can you? Does any of one of you have used that and find out a way to actually use that to connect with your students and reply to your students?
I did once, and so what the students did was, so I started a forum. We have a Moodle platform. We call that Kalam. So in Kalam we have forum. So I started off with a forum, and then the students ask question there. But because some they ask like maybe some of the students are asking the question this week, the other students are answering the question, posting question the week after, and so it's like beyond the chapter. So and then I didn't get to reply them because I didn't check. It would be nice if there is a push notification to the phone, so if there's any question, but so those are the things that I noticed. But I guess if I were to do that, I have to commit. I have to commit to
Yes.
do
Yes.
it, I guess.
That
But
will mean. That
I
will
can
mean.
imagine for like open platform.
Yes, that will mean spending a lot of time answering and replying. But maybe in your case, what I don't know if this is also doable in the platform, but maybe if you want your students to like we sometimes create page for students to interact in. So for one module, we have this page, or sometimes we just create what question and answers tab for the whole course. But if it's a big course, maybe having that for one module. So at the beginning of the module, you already provide that space for students to keep on chatting, and then you can also tell the students, like even though it's a fully online learning, you can also always tell your students that the active time for this forum is from this time to this time on weekdays, for example. So some lecturers will actually give the students their work time. So my work time, I will be active online from this time to this time. Of course, it's no one wants to be online or working 24 hours a day. So it is your rights to actually put from what time you can be active. You can also set that the forum will be active during this time to this time. Other than that time, you may not be there to answer. Uh, like most of the students will not be there to interact. So maybe that's something that you can do.
Okay, that would be nice. Thank you very much for the suggestion.
So thank you for those who have done the feedback. So if there are no more questions, we will end the session for today, the workshop for today. Thank you very much for all the sharing. I hope this workshop has helped you. I've tried my best to share all the things that I can, and I've all the resources I can. You can always come back to this Padlet dashboard for now until I close this. I'm not so sure why, maybe how long, maybe for a month I will still be having this here. So you can check out the resources, especially there's some things that you may want to read, the articles, the courses, and you are free to actually go to open learning platform and just join any courses there. Yep. So I guess that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hello.
Ya. Dr. Azrin.
Sebelum kita keluar, boleh tak kita I would like to share I would like to say thank you to Madam Shaliza for spending your time with us today. And then we really hope if we have any more question, we can somehow reach to you so that you can suggest to our lecturers on how to make a very good instructional design when they try to conduct any course available online. We thank you very much, Madam Shaliza, for your time today.
Welcome.
Okay.
You
Before that, can we ask all the participants to turn on the video so that we can have a photo session
okay? Let me start sharing first.
virtually?
Okay, virtually.
Alright. Okay, Dr. Awanis, are you cooking, Dr. Awanis? Where are you? Rose, are you there, Rose?
Okay. Okay, everyone is getting ready.
Dr. Awanis not here. Okay.
Wait for a moment. Okay. All right. Everyone's getting ready. One. Okay. Good. Okay. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another one. Wait. One moment. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Asrin.
Thank
Sama,
you,
Dr. Aisha.
Azrin. Yes, thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Aisha.
Liza. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a